What do I mean when I say God is? It's actually very simple, but due to the imperfectness of language and ambiguity, I have to explain this. I have to unpack this for you so that you know exactly what I mean. God is, well, I never used to see any of the gods that people talked about, right? The God of Christianity, the god of any of the gods of Hinduism, the Judaic god, the whatever, so on and so on and so on. I never saw these for myself. I didn't experience them. I'm like, I don't think they exist. And then I went to the point that, well, if you're talking about something that exists, then you're talking about reality. And I don't see these things in reality, and I disagree with your apprehension of reality because you're telling me there's some part of reality that has these attributes, right? But then I started thinking about it more, and I'm like, well, if there actually is a God, let's think about that. I start with reality, right? Everything that there is. The all of everything, the totality of being, whatever you wish to call it. And I say, well, any God that actually does exist must either be identical to reality, in other words, reality itself, or some part of reality. And I said, well, I don't know of any God that exists that is some part of reality, right? Maybe there is, right? But I don't know of any. So let me start with reality being God, or God being reality, however you wish to put it, because it doesn't matter either way. And then I started seeing things that made sense. I said, well, reality is omnipresent in that it's everywhere. It encompasses everything, right? Reality is omniscient in that all the knowledge that there is to have of anything is contained in the thing itself, right? Reality contains it is the perfect representation of knowledge of itself, right? So it has knowledge of itself in that it is the knowledge of itself in being what it is. And then I ask, well, okay, sure. Omnipresence, omniscience. What about omnipotence? Is it all powerful? Well, yes, in the sense that anything that can be done at all is done within reality. It is reality doing it, right? Not necessarily in the sense of a person doing something, in the way of thinking of doing something and feeling like we are choosing the outcome and we're doing, I don't know that reality it has agency, right? At times it may appear that it has agency, but then at other times it appears to not have agency. So I don't see the aspect of agency that a lot of people seem to. But I do see some of these other aspects that people attribute to God. And I say, well, okay, yeah. God exists because reality exists. And I consider reality and God to be the same thing. God is omniscient. God is omnipotent. God is omnipresent. But there's also a balance within God. God is balance. And what do I mean by that? I mean that there are competing forces, and these forces compete and balance each other out. Good and evil, wind and stillness, change and staticness, random and deterministic, and so on and so on and so on. And you know what? Here's another interesting aspect. As far as we can see, God is fractal. That is self-similar. Everything appears to be the same and yet different simultaneously. And in fact, I would argue that God both is and isn't simultaneously. That's how we get quantum mechanics being real. That's how we get things like change, right? A thing is what it is, but at the same time, it is not what it was or what it is. It becomes something different. To become different, there must be an aspect of is notness. I think that perhaps religion used to be this. It used to be taking a look at everything and seeing what we could figure out about it. And then, perhaps at some point, it deviated from this goal. People view God as a person. Is reality like a person? I don't know. Maybe, but I definitely don't see that as a necessity. Whereas I do see as a necessity, from the definition itself, God being omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. I don't see God being omnibenevolent, though. That might be partly true. Like, God might be both omnibenevolent and whatever the word is for bad, right? For evil. Because good and evil are competing forces that must balance. So, I was an atheist for about 8 years. And then I realized, well, my atheism is really no different from theism. And theism is really no different from atheism. In that, to believe in a particular God incarnation is to believe in a part of reality, right? But you must believe in reality first in order to believe in a God that is a part of reality, right? So if I'm going to say that I'm not a theist because I don't believe in any particular God, which is simply a part of reality, but I'm going to believe in God because I believe in reality, well, then we're all both atheist and theist at the same time. Do these labels even mean anything anymore? Are they useful? I don't know. I know there's a big debate going on, and I think maybe we're all just arguing about nothing. Like, we all actually agree, but we think we disagree on something because language is imperfect and ambiguous, and we don't take the time to think about what we're actually talking about. And instead, we only take the time to think about how we're right and everybody else is wrong. But in fact, maybe definitely we are all incorrect on some level, because we are not God itself. We are not the totality of reality. We do not have all knowledge, and so our knowledge is always incomplete. What we think is true is always incomplete, and so we're all wrong, but maybe we're all as well correct, just to different degrees. How is somebody correct? Maybe we should be asking that. How are they correct? And how can I use their correctness to further complete my knowledge? And how do I communicate to them that even though they're correct about this, they're still missing an important piece of the picture? Maybe that's what we should be asking. Maybe we should be considering all of us together in this reality. We're all a part of it. We're all trying to get somewhere and do something. Maybe that's what we should focus on, instead of focusing on, I'm right and you're wrong, and how am I right and how are you wrong? I mean, sure, I'm sure that must be a part of it to some extent, right? But we need balance, remember? And that's not the only thing that we can do, is to consider how we're right and they're wrong. And so to always be in that mode is to be in a state of imbalance, which is not what God wants. And I use the phrase God wants, I use that lightly. I don't know if reality has wants and desires in the same way that we do. It certainly has tendencies in that there are patterns, and these patterns seem to come to fruition in the way that they predict themselves. We're in this together, so we should act like it. I love you all. Have a great day. Thank you for watching.